symmetrical.
So good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming and speaking with us and hearing our plan. We're here today on the eve of the governor's address releasing his budget to release, something that's critically important to all of us here in the Senate Republican caucus, and that is affordability for our constituents. All of us were elected on a platform to bring more affordability to our neighbors in our districts, and we're here doing that today with a proposal that I think will make
at the greater of 2% or inflation for the existing grand list. It allows municipalities, if they want and need, to, by referendum, vote to override that cap with a 60% vote, a 60% majority. And in order to basically finance that property tax cap, we'll do something similar to what Massachusetts did in Prop 2.5 and to what people, including members of CCM, have suggested, which is convene a task force to examine the 1,400 unfunded mandates that our state imposes on our municipalities, which are responsible for us having the second or the third highest property taxes in the country. We'll convene that task force with all the relevant stakeholders, examine which of those 1,400 state mandates should be rolled back, and then from there institute in the future a property tax cap which could accrue to the benefit of a middle-class family to the tune of thousands of dollars into the future. Finally, we need to protect and extend the fiscal guardrails that we have. Those are the best policy intervention we've had in this state in the last 10 or 15 years. Ernest Hemingway said that there's two ways you go broke. First slowly and then quickly. Well, you go whole, you get back in the black the same way. First slowly and then quickly. Those savings will accrue enormously to our benefit, and anyone who seeks to significantly alter them is only asking for future tax increases. Not only that, we need to strengthen the state's debt cap. Our state still has among the highest debt burdens of any state in the country. In fact, according to an OLR report, we saw our rank in bonded debt per capita increase from third highest in the country to second highest in the country since 2017. That means we're still issuing too much debt as a state to get around that spending cap. So if we do all these things, I believe we can give women like the constituent of mine in Stamford better choices. Keep her here. Invite more young families here. Create job growth, create income growth, create economic opportunity, and make this state better than ever before. I'd like to introduce the ranking member of Appropriations, Senator Heather Summers, to summarize the importance of this plan.
Good morning, everyone. You heard us, we're talking about affordability here in Connecticut. And I wanted to give you a snapshot of some of the families that I represent in my district and exactly why this relief is needed for Connecticut residents now. So when I was out in the district talking to people, what do they want to see our legislature do? And these are the words that, in their words, what they came to me with. The housing costs are crushing our family's budget. Child care costs more than a mortgage, if we could get one. Utility costs are outrageous, they're sky high. Taxes take too big of a bite out of our budget. Groceries and everyday necessities are increasing at an alarming rate. And lastly, unfortunately, it's time now that we have to look for an escape out of this state. So I wanted to give you a snapshot of one particular family. For this, I'm going to call them the Lanes. They didn't want me to use their name. The Lanes have two kids under 5, 2 and 4. The mom is a nurse, and the dad works as a mechanic. And together, they have an income of about $125,000 a year. That number sounds pretty good for most of the rest of the country, but in our state, they simply cannot get ahead. Connecticut's cost of living is 13% above the national average. Our tax burden is the second highest in the country. Our housing costs sit at 7% above the national average, and rent is a staggering 16% higher than the national average. Our utility costs are 35% above the national average, which earns us at the bottom 5. These strains on families' finances are pulling on everything they have in every respect of their budget. All of this while 49% of Connecticut residents who file taxes make less than $49,000 a year. We have made some strides in providing some tax relief, but our proposal in 2023 was an opportunity to save $1.5 billion in taxes for residents. That was not taken up, and that was a real chance to put money back in our residents' wallets. Let's get back to the lanes. If you think of all those expenses that I just went through, pair those with a $22,000 per year child care bill, something that you can't write off your taxes here in the state of Connecticut. Increased costs in groceries over the past 3 years, with an average electricity bill of $300 a month, and an extremely cumbersome state income tax. We have local property taxes, car taxes, gas taxes. Pretty soon we're going to have an air tax here. So how is a young family, or any family really, in that income bracket able to make this work in Connecticut? How are we giving Connecticut's middle-class families the tools necessary to go ahead, to build a family here and a life here in Connecticut, lay down roots in the state and want to stay? We're not, and we haven't. And now families like the Lanes and others are looking to other states that have more to offer. You hear Florida, Texas, Tennessee, but other states in our neighborhood are becoming those states also. Some place where they can work hard, they can earn $125,000 a year, they can save, they can envision buying a house and having a future for their children. Now the Lanes are looking to escape. Even though they have deep-seated roots here in Connecticut and family, they feel like they have no choice. They have to look at more affordable options. And the reality is, for too many families, both young and old, Connecticut is just losing for them. It's become too expensive, too cumbersome, and the cost of living is just simply too high. And without meaningful change, like the changes you're seeing here today, these families are forced to leave or to relocate someplace else that's not Connecticut. The goal of the measures here today is to make Connecticut more affordable, more attractive for residents, businesses, and municipalities alike. And I just want to point out, we're a month into session. We are talking about the issues that we have heard from constituents and that the citizens of Connecticut are talking about, whether it be affordability, electricity costs, crime, things that are affecting our residents every day. And what have we heard from the other side? Crickets. Not one proposal. We had an energy proposal that was no proposal. It was the plan with no plan. We haven't heard anything about making Connecticut more affordable. What we have heard is we're going to be looking at a 33% increase with the next employee wage increase. The only thing here we've seen in Connecticut for our residents increase by 33% is their electric bills. And they're the ones paying for everybody's salary here. So I think it's really important to put that into perspective. So by implementing proposals like the Republican proposal we have here today, we ensure long-term stability for our state, predictable growth, financial responsibility for all Connecticut families and communities. So I thank you, and I'm going to turn it back over to our leader, Steve Harding, to take any questions you might have.
So I want to thank Senator Summers and Senator Fazio for speaking. I also want to thank the leader pro temp, Senator Martin, for helping us spearhead this effort, as well as our deputy leader, Senator Sampson, on policy, who will also be helping spearhead this effort. These are all critical individuals to promoting this effort and to finally creating some affordability for the people of this state. And I think Senator Summers summed it up very well. You hear day after day in this building Democrats herniating themselves to get to the microphone about fear-mongering in Washington, D.C., or about changing movie times. And we're the only party that seems to be here in front of a microphone every single day fighting for the actual things that make people's life here in Connecticut more affordable. So once again, we're the adults in the room looking at our policies right here from within and finding ways to make life a little more affordable for the middle class and working class people of this state, and right here in this budget year on the eve of the governor's address. So with that, I will open up to any questions you may have.